In life, the power to transform everything begins with one word: control. Not control over others, but over yourself. And the four pillars that shape your destiny are your mouth, mood, money, and mind. If you can control these, you can control your future. Let's start with the mouth. What you say shapes the world around you. Words can uplift or destroy. Speak without thinking, and you can ruin relationships in seconds. But speak with wisdom, and you can heal, inspire, and lead. Control your mouth, because what you say becomes your reality. Then comes your mood. Life will throw storms at you. People will misunderstand you, disrespect you, or disappoint you. But your mood is your responsibility. Don't give others the remote control to your emotions. Mastering your mood is not about pretending everything is fine. It's about not letting temporary feelings make permanent decisions. Next, we talk about money. Most people are not broke because of lack of income, but because of lack of control. Money doesn't multiply where there is no discipline. Learn to save when you feel rich and spend wisely when you feel poor. Control your money, or it will control you. The way you manage money reflects how you manage your life. Lastly, your mind, the most powerful tool you own. Thoughts are seeds, and whatever you plant in your mind will grow. If you think like a victim, you will live like one. If you feed your mind negativity, you'll drown in it. But if you choose discipline, focus, and growth, you will rise beyond limitations. Control your mind and you can break every chain holding you back. Remember, greatness doesn't come from doing big things occasionally. It comes from doing small things consistently. With control. Control is not restriction. It's freedom. It's the ability to rise above impulses, above noise, and above chaos. Your mouth, mood, and mind. They are your responsibility. Master them, and nothing outside you can defeat you. Your words create your world. This is more than just a phrase. It is a fundamental truth of human experience. The mouth is not just a tool for communication, but a channel through which thoughts are turned into action and energy. Every time you speak, you're either building bridges or burning them. You're either planting seeds of growth or spreading toxins that infect relationships, environments, and your own inner peace. Words are not harmless. They carry the power to inspire or injure, to uplift or undo years of trust and effort. We often underestimate how a single sentence can impact someone for a lifetime. A careless insult, a sarcastic remark, or a moment of uncontrolled anger can leave deep wounds. On the other hand, a few kind and timely words can restore hope, renew motivation, and even save a life. Your mouth is like a sword. If you don't learn to control it, it can end up cutting the very people you care about and even damage your own future. It's not about suppressing your voice. It's about refining it. Learn to pause before you speak. Ask yourself, is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? This level of mindfulness in speech is a sign of maturity and inner strength. When you control your words, you stop being reactive and start becoming intentional. And when your words are intentional, your world starts changing. Because people respond to how you speak to them, and life responds to the energy you release into it. Whether it's in a professional setting, a family discussion, or a conversation with yourself, the words you use become the reality you live. Speak growth, and you'll experience growth. Speak defeat, and your spirit will start believing in failure. That's why learning to control your mouth is not just about social etiquette. It's about shaping your entire life, one word at a time. Mouth control reflects self-discipline, and self-discipline is one of the highest forms of self-respect. When you learn not to say everything you think, you begin mastering the gap between impulse and action. It's easy to speak without filters, especially in moments of anger, frustration, or pride. But true power lies in restraint. Just because a thought enters your mind doesn't mean it needs to exit through your lips. What you choose to say, and what you choose not to say, shows the depth of your emotional intelligence. There is a major difference between honesty and recklessness. Many people excuse their harshness by claiming they're just being real honest. But truth without compassion is cruelty. Discipline means being able to express your thoughts without causing harm, being firm without being disrespectful, and being assertive without being arrogant. When you can speak with clarity and calmness, even in tense moments, You are not just controlling your mouth. You are controlling your life. People who can't manage their mouths often sabotage opportunities, destroy relationships, and isolate themselves without even realizing it. They say things in the heat of the moment that they later regret. But by then the damage is already done. A disciplined mouth saves you from countless apologies, from broken trust, and from unnecessary conflict. It allows you to be heard without raising your voice, and to lead without overpowering others. Your words reveal your maturity. A disciplined person thinks before speaking, filters emotion through wisdom, and understands the weight of every sentence. They don't waste energy on gossip, negativity, or arguments that don't serve growth. Instead, they choose their words like a sculptor chiseling stone, carefully with purpose and patience. When your mouth is under control, your presence becomes more powerful. People begin to trust your words because they know they come from a place of strength, not impulsiveness. In every area of life, relationships, leadership, conflict resolution, your ability to control what comes out of your mouth becomes a key asset. It earns you respect, builds credibility, and elevates your influence far beyond those who speak carelessly. Your mood should not be controlled by others, because the moment you allow external people or circumstances to dictate your emotional state, you hand over your personal power. Many people live their lives as emotional puppets, constantly being pulled in different directions based on someone else's behavior or the situation they find themselves in. If someone compliments them, they're happy. If someone criticizes them, they're shattered. If the weather is pleasant, they're cheerful. If traffic is bad, they're angry. This reactive way of living robs you of inner peace, stability, and clarity. The truth is, no one deserves that much power over you. Your emotional well-being is too valuable to be left in the hands of temporary situations or unpredictable people. Life is full of ups and downs, and people will not always treat you the way you want. There will be disappointments, misunderstandings, delays, and disrespect. But your response is always your choice. You can't control what happens around you, but you can control what happens within you. Controlled ever will. Controlling your mood doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or becoming numb. It means building emotional resilience, the ability to feel deeply without being destroyed by what you feel. It means developing an inner calm that isn't shaken by every storm. Just like a tree with strong roots doesn't get uprooted by the wind, a person with strong emotional discipline doesn't collapse every time life doesn't go their way. You must learn to pause when your mood is off. Don't make decisions, don't speak impulsively, and don't judge your life in the middle of an emotional storm. Take a step back, breathe, and allow your rational mind to regain control. Sometimes the best response is no response at all, just silence, space, and stillness until clarity returns. When you take responsibility for your mood, you stop blaming others for how you feel. This is where real growth begins. You become harder to offend, slower react, and quicker to move on. Your energy becomes steady. Your presence becomes stronger, and your relationships improve because people begin to feel safe around your emotional consistency. Controlling your mood is not about pretending. It's about protecting your peace and preserving your power. Emotional stability leads to better decisions because the quality of your choices depends on the clarity of your mind. When your emotions are high, whether it's anger, sadness, excitement, or fear, your judgment becomes clouded. You stop seeing things as they are and start seeing them through the lens of your feelings. In that state, small issues feel overwhelming, temporary setbacks feel permanent, and wrong assumptions feel like absolute truths. That's why decisions made in emotional extremes are often followed by deep regret. Think about the last time you made a decision in the heat of the moment. Did it lead to progress, or did it create more problems? Did it reflect your highest self or a version of you ruled by impulse? Emotions aren't the enemy. They're signals. They tell you when something feels off or exciting or painful. But they should never be the sole driver of your actions. Emotional stability gives you the space to listen to your feelings without being led blindly by them. When you're emotionally stable, you respond to life rather than react to it. You take a moment to assess the situation, to question your own thoughts, and to look at the bigger picture. This gives you the ability to stay calm under pressure, to speak wisely in conflict, and to make choices that are aligned with your long-term values rather than short-term emotions. People often equate emotional stability with coldness or indifference, but that's a misconception. True stability doesn't mean you feel less. It means you feel deeply but choose to act thoughtfully. It's the ability to sit with discomfort without rushing to escape it. It's the strength to remain balanced even when life throws you off course. It allows you to handle criticism without collapsing, to face failure without losing hope, and to navigate chaos without becoming part of it. The most successful, respected, and influential people are not those who avoid emotions, but those who have mastered them. They don't allow frustration to ruin their focus, or excitement to lead them into reckless decisions. They understand that every action has a consequence, and emotional clarity is the foundation of wisdom. When you are emotionally stable, you think before you act, you plan before you speak, and you move forward with intention, not reaction. This kind of maturity elevates every area of your life, from your career to your relationships to your personal. Emotional stability leads to better decisions because it creates a clear space between what you feel and how you act. When emotions run high, logic runs low, anger can blur your reasoning, fear can exaggerate risks, excitement can cause impulsiveness, sadness can make you underestimate your value or abilities. But when you are emotionally balanced, you don't allow these temporary emotional waves to crash into the structure of your long-term thinking. You develop the ability to pause, reflect, and respond from a place of wisdom rather than from a place of emotional chaos. We all go through moments that test us. People will push your buttons, unexpected events will rattle your plans, and life won't always move at the pace you expect. But your emotional reaction to these moments determines whether they break you or build you. Without emotional control, a 5-minute situation can ruin your whole day. Worse, it can lead you to make snap decisions that cost you relationships, opportunities, and peace of mind. When you are emotionally stable, you don't rush into choices. You wait for the emotional dust to settle before making important calls. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. It means not being ruled by them. It means understanding that emotions are messengers, not masters. They're meant to be acknowledged, processed, and then balanced with perspective before taking action. An emotionally mature person knows how to sit with discomfort without reacting destructively, how to express frustration without lashing out, and how to make decisions that serve long-term goals rather than short-term relief. People who master emotional stability often appear calm, grounded, and in control, even in high-stress situations. That's not because their lives are easier or emotion-free, but because they've trained themselves to not let those emotions lead the way. They've built a system within themselves where thoughts are filtered, feelings are examined, and actions are chosen deliberately. This kind of control not only improves the quality of decisions, but also earns trust from others. In teams, families, and leadership roles, people gravitate toward those who stay composed and clear-headed when others fall apart. Emotional stability also gives you the strength to walk away from situations that don't deserve your energy, and the wisdom to know when to speak, when to wait, and when to let go. It allows you to live with fewer regrets, because your actions aren't based on fleeting moods, but grounded in awareness. You begin to understand that your peace is more important than proving a point, and your growth is more valuable than temporary emotional satisfaction. Money is a mirror of discipline because how you handle it reflects how you handle responsibility, pressure, and delayed gratification. Many people believe that financial problems stem from not earning enough, but more often, it's not an income issue. It's a management issue. You can increase your earnings tenfold, but if you haven't developed discipline, your lifestyle will grow faster than your bank balance. Financial discipline is not just about numbers. It's about habits, mindset, and emotional control. Every dollar you spend is a decision, and those decisions either move you closer to freedom or deeper into stress. People often spend money to impress others, to fill emotional voids, or to seek short-term pleasure. They confuse wants with needs and impulse with urgency. This kind of spending is not financial freedom. It's financial slavery in disguise. Without discipline, the more you earn, the more reckless you become. True financial power isn't about how much you make. It's about how wisely you manage what you already have. When you are financially disciplined, you learn to delay gratification. You don't need to buy everything you like or upgrade every gadget that hits the market. You understand that money saved today is peace earned tomorrow. You begin to prioritize long-term security over short-term comfort. Instead of reacting emotionally to every sale or offer, you start asking better questions. Health. Do I need this? Will this help me grow? Am I spending from logic or emotion? Discipline with money also teaches you to be intentional. You create budgets, track your spending, invest wisely, and avoid unnecessary debt. You start seeing money not as something to chase, but as a tool to build the life you want. You take control instead of letting money control your moods, relationships, or self-worth. It becomes easier to say no to things that don't serve your bigger goals, because your financial behavior is now aligned with your values and vision. Moreover, your relationship with money often reflects your relationship with yourself. If you lack financial discipline, it may also show up in other areas. Poor time management, emotional impulsiveness, lack of planning, or avoidance of accountability. On the other hand, when you start treating money with respect, structure, and mindfulness, it reinforces personal strength in all areas of life. You feel more confident, more secure, and more focused. You are no longer reacting to financial pressures. You are leading your financial journey with purpose. Discipline with money doesn't mean depriving yourself. It means knowing the difference between waste and investment, between temporary satisfaction and lasting value. It means being conscious of where your money goes. Because where it goes, your energy and future follow. Wealth grows where control exists, because money, like time and energy, must be directed with purpose. Without control, even great wealth can vanish quickly. Look at the stories of lottery winners who lost millions in a few years. Not because they didn't receive enough, but because they didn't know how to manage it. The truth is, abundance without structure leads to chaos. To build lasting wealth, you need a disciplined system that guides how you earn, spend, save, and invest. Wealth doesn't grow in randomness, it grows in order. Controlled spending is the first step. It means living below your means, not just until you make more money, but even when you do. It's easy to fall into the trap of upgrading your lifestyle every time your income increases. This creates a cycle where no amount of money ever feels like enough. But when you control your spending, you create a gap between what you earn and what you consume. And that gap is where wealth is born. It's in that space that you can save, invest, and prepare for opportunities or emergencies. Consistent saving is another layer of control. Saving money is not just about putting aside what's left after spending. It's about prioritizing your future before your present desires. It takes discipline to treat saving as a non-negotiable commitment, like paying a bill to your future self. Saving consistently over time, even in small amounts, builds the foundation for financial stability, freedom, and opportunity. It gives you options, flexibility, and a sense of security that no amount of impulsive spending can provide. But saving alone is not enough. Wealth multiplies through wise investing. And investing requires both patience and knowledge. Two qualities that come from self-control. You need the patience to wait for returns instead of demanding instant rewards, and the discipline to educate yourself before taking risks. Uncontrolled people chase quick money and often lose it just as fast. But those who are in control think long-term. They plan, diversify, and grow their resources steadily, understanding that wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. Control also means knowing when to say no, not just to others, but to yourself. It means resisting the pressure to keep up with trends, to impress others, or to feed temporary cravings that drain long-term value. When you are in control of your money, you don't let emotions, advertisements, or peer pressure dictate your choices. You move with intention, not impulse. You understand that every dollar has a purpose and that unmanaged spending is like pouring water into a broken container. Ultimately, Wealth is not just about how much you have, but how well you manage what you have. Controlled finances lead to mental peace, freedom of choice, and the ability to help others without harming yourself. Wealth that grows under control becomes sustainable. It supports your dreams, protects your future, and allows you to leave a legacy. It's not built overnight, but it is built every day, through thousands of small, controlled decisions that shape your financial reality. Mind control is the root of all growth because every action you take, every word you speak, and every result you achieve begins first as a thought. Your mind is the command center of your life. It shapes your beliefs, your habits, your focus, and ultimately your future. If you cannot control your thoughts, you cannot control your direction. A person who has no control over their mind is like a ship without a compass, easily swayed by every wave, every wind, and every passing storm. What you feed your mind daily becomes the foundation of your mindset. If you constantly consume negativity, gossip, distractions, and doubt, you are programming your mind to operate on low energy, fear, and limitation. But if you feed it with discipline, learning, positive input, and purposeful thoughts, you begin to train it to see opportunities, create solutions, and stay focused. Growth is not just about doing more. It's about thinking better. And better thinking requires intentional effort and internal discipline. A crab wheel. Controlling your mind doesn't mean never having negative thoughts. It means not letting those thoughts control you. It's the ability to observe your thinking patterns, to challenge the lies you tell yourself, and to redirect your focus toward what empowers you. It's about noticing when your mind begins to spiral into fear, overthinking, or procrastination, and then pulling it back into clarity and action. This level of mental control is what separates those who live in reaction from those who live in purpose. Every external change starts with an internal decision. If you want to change your habits, change your thoughts. If you want to change your outcomes, change your mindset. People often chase strategies and shortcuts without realizing that their biggest limitation is not out there. It's in their mind. A limited mind will reject opportunities. A fearful mind will sabotage progress. A distracted mind will miss the moment. But a disciplined, focused mind will find a way, even when everything seems against it. Mind control also means protecting your mental space. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts. Not every piece of information deserves your attention. Not every opinion is worth your peace. You must guard your mind like your most valuable asset, because it is. The more you practice mental discipline, the more resilient you become. Life will still be unpredictable, but your responses will become stronger, wiser, and more intentional. When you control your mind, you stop being a victim of your circumstances. You begin to respond instead of react. You start leading your life instead of being pushed around by it. Confidence grows, creativity expands, and peace becomes more accessible. True success, fulfillment, and growth are not born from chaotic thinking. They are built on focused, disciplined, and empowered minds. And when your mind is under control, everything else in your life begins to align. Thoughts are seeds. Choose them wisely, because whatever you plant in the garden of your mind will eventually grow into the reality of your life. The human mind is incredibly fertile. It doesn't care whether the seeds you plant are positive or negative, empowering or destructive. It will nourish whatever is consistently placed within it. That's why being careless with your thoughts is dangerous. A single repeated doubt can evolve into paralyzing fear. A single negative belief can become a mental prison that holds you back for years. Most people underestimate the power of a single thought repeated over time. You tell yourself you're not good enough, and soon your actions start reflecting that belief. You begin to hesitate, to hold back, to settle for less. On the other hand, if you repeatedly feed your mind with belief, possibility, and purpose, you begin to walk differently, talk differently, and pursue life with more courage. Your internal dialogue becomes the invisible architect of your behavior, and your behavior becomes the structure of your life. The thoughts you allow to take root will eventually define your focus, and your focus determines your decisions, your energy, and the direction of your efforts. If your mind is full of, "What if I fail?" you will avoid taking risks, playing small even when you were made for more. But if your mind is trained to ask, what if I grow? Then you begin to view challenges as stepping stones rather than obstacles. Choosing your thoughts wisely means deliberately selecting the narrative you want to live by. This is not about pretending bad things don't happen. It's about refusing to give those things permanent residency in your mental space. Life is hard at times, but your mindset decides whether you'll stay down or rise again. When you face setbacks, the thoughts you choose will determine whether you see it as a defeat or a lesson. When people doubt you, your thoughts will decide whether you believe them or prove them wrong. When you're tired, your thoughts will either convince you to quit or remind you why you started. Guarding your thoughts also means being aware of your environment. Who you listen to, what you watch, what conversations you entertain. Your mind is constantly being influenced, and if you're not intentional, it will be shaped by default. Surround yourself with inspiration, with people who uplift you, and with content that challenges you to grow. What enters your mind regularly will shape the lens through which you see the world. Train your mind like a garden. Uproot weeds of doubt, laziness, and fear. Plant seeds of faith, discipline, gratitude, and courage. Water those seeds daily through repetition, reflection, and aligned action. Over time, your outer life will begin to look like the inner world you've cultivated. Every goal, every transformation, every breakthrough, it all starts with a single thought. And that's why choosing your thoughts isn't optional. It's essential. Reaction is weakness. Response is strength. Because the way you handle what happens to you defines your maturity, your character, and your direction in life. A reaction is instant, emotional, and often driven by ego or impulse. It's the unfiltered expression of your feelings in the heat of the moment, without thought or consideration for the consequences. On the other hand, a response is deliberate. It's thoughtful, composed, and rooted in wisdom. It's the space between stimulus and action. Space only accessed by those who have mastered self-control. When you react, you're giving your power away. You're allowing external circumstances, people, situations, or setbacks to dictate your internal state. Someone insults you and you lash back. A small delay frustrates you and you explode. You hear bad news and you panic. This kind of behavior makes you unpredictable, emotionally unstable, and easy to manipulate. People who react constantly are not in control of themselves. They're puppets pulled by every emotion, opinion, or inconvenience that crosses their path. But when you respond, you regain control. You pause. You breathe. You evaluate. You choose the most effective course of action rather than simply unloading your feelings. This is not weakness. It's power. It takes far more strength to stay calm in a storm than it does to lose your temper. Anyone can react, but it takes a mentally strong person to pause and decide how to respond in a way that protects their peace, serves their goals, and upholds their values. Response also reflects intelligence, emotional, social, and practical. It allows you to communicate better, avoid unnecessary conflict, and lead with clarity. In relationships, people trust and respect those who respond with calmness and thoughtfulness rather than drama and aggression. In leadership, those who can respond under pressure gain influence because they bring stability to the people around them. In personal growth, responding instead of reacting means you make decisions based on vision, not mood, strategy, not impulse. Reacting might bring temporary satisfaction, especially when you feel wronged or disrespected, but it rarely brings long-term results. In fact, many of the regrets people carry in life come from moments where they reacted too quickly, said something they didn't mean, made a decision out of anger, or pushed someone away because they didn't pause to understand. A response, though slower in delivery, often carries more impact. It's precise, it's grounded, strategic. It protects your energy and elevates your dignity. To build this ability, you must train yourself to observe before you act. Learn to feel your emotions without immediately acting on them. Just because you feel something intensely doesn't mean it deserves an immediate outlet. Reflect. Ask yourself, will this matter tomorrow? Is this reaction aligned with who I want to be? Over time, these practices build emotional strength, inner peace, and the kind of self-mastery that sets you apart in every area of life. In a world that provokes you daily, Where people are quick to anger and slower to listen, those who respond instead of react become leaders. They are the ones who hold their ground, who move with purpose, and who build lives rooted in strength, not chaos. Discipline in small areas creates success in big ones, because greatness is not built in dramatic leaps. It is built in quiet, consistent actions that most people overlook. Too often, people wait for the perfect moment or a major opportunity to prove their worth, not realizing that the habits they form in the seemingly insignificant moments of daily life are shaping their future far more than any single breakthrough ever could. A crowd ever will. The truth is, the way you do the small things is the way you will do everything. If you can't keep your room clean, stick to a schedule. Or honor a simple promise to yourself like waking up on time or drinking enough water. How will you handle the pressure and responsibility of leading a team, running a business, or raising a family? These small disciplines may seem unrelated to the bigger goals you have, but they are deeply connected. Every time you follow through on a small commitment, you build trust with yourself. And that self-trust becomes the foundation for confidence, courage, and competence. Success in any field, whether it's fitness, career, relationships, or personal growth, is built on routines, not random effort. It's not about doing something massive once in a while. It's about doing the right things every day, especially when you don't feel like it. Small disciplines like reading a few pages each day, journaling your thoughts, limiting your screen time, preparing your meals, getting enough sleep. These are not minor tasks. They are investments in your future self. They build character, mental strength, and consistency, the very traits that lead to lasting achievement. People often want to skip the small stuff and jump to the results. But success doesn't work that way. It respects process. And discipline is the process. When you show discipline in the small things, you're telling the universe and yourself that you can be trusted with more. You become the kind of person who doesn't need to be pushed, who doesn't need motivation to act. You act because it's who you are. That identity shift is powerful. It means you no longer wait to feel ready. You stay ready because your habits keep you sharp. There's also something deeply transformative about mastering small disciplines. They force you to confront your excuses, to face the parts of you that resist change. It's easy to say you want success, but it's harder to choose a salad over fast food, to study instead of scroll, to save money instead of spend it impulsively. Those small, difficult choices are where true growth happens. They reveal your priorities and shape your destiny, one decision at a time. Discipline in small areas also creates momentum. Once you succeed in one area, no matter how minor, it spills over into others. You start with making your bed, and suddenly your workspace is cleaner. You begin drinking more water, and your focus improves. You limit your distractions, and suddenly you have more time for meaningful work. Each small win reinforces your ability to take control of your life, and those wins compound over time into extraordinary results. This is how discipline becomes a lifestyle. It's not about perfection, it's about progression. Every act of self-discipline is a step toward a more powerful, focused, and fulfilled version of yourself. And the more consistent you are in small things, the more prepared you will be when big opportunities come. Because by then, discipline won't be something you try. It will be who you are. Control is not suppression, it's empowerment. Because true control doesn't mean shutting down your feelings, ignoring your desires, or living in constant restriction. It means having the strength to direct your energy where it truly matters. It's not about denying who you are, but about shaping who you are becoming. Suppression leads to frustration, rebellion, and inner conflict. But real control leads to freedom, clarity, than a crowd ever will, and alignment between your actions and your values. It's the difference between being reactive and being intentional. When people hear the word control, they often assume it means being cold, stiff, or emotionally detached. But that's not control. That's avoidance. Control means being able to feel your emotions deeply without being dominated by them. It means acknowledging your desires without being enslaved by them. It's the ability to say wise with purpose and no with power. You don't control yourself to punish yourself. You do it to protect your peace, focus, and long-term growth. Control is empowerment because it gives you choices. When you are in control, you are not a prisoner of your habits, impulses, or the opinions of others. You don't speak just to be heard, you speak to make an impact. You don't spend to impress, you spend to invest. You don't react blindly to life, you respond with wisdom. This level of mastery doesn't shrink your life. It expands it. You start making decisions not based on emotions or social pressure, but based on clarity, purpose, and self-respect. A controlled person is not less emotional. They are more emotionally intelligent. They know when to express, when to pause, and when to walk away. They understand that just because something feels urgent doesn't mean it's important. This kind of control gives them power in situations where others lose theirs. It gives them stability in chaos, focus in noise, and peace in pressure. That's real empowerment, having the ability to stay centered while everything else tries to pull you off balance. Furthermore, control allows you to build a life by design, not by default. You become the architect of your behavior, habits, mindset, and future. You don't just flow through life reacting to circumstances. You lead yourself. And when you lead yourself well, you gain the ability to lead others too. People trust those who are steady, consistent, and composed, not perfect, but intentional. Control doesn't make you rigid, it makes you reliable. Many people live in cycles of regret because they act without control. Saying things in anger, spending out of boredom, chasing relationships out of loneliness, or giving up on goals because of temporary discomfort. But when you begin to develop inner control, you create space between emotion and action. You gain the power to pause, to reflect, and to choose the path that aligns with your highest self. That is not suppression. That is freedom. That is strength. That is empowerment at its deepest level. So, remember this: the real battle is not with the world outside. It's within. If you can master your mouth, you'll speak life, not destruction. If you can master your mood, you'll move with calm confidence through chaos. If you can master your money, you'll build freedom, not frustration. And if you can master your mind, you'll unlock a life of purpose, power, and peace. Control is not about restriction. It's about direction. It's about ever will. It's about knowing who you are, what you stand for, and where you're going. The most successful, grounded, and fulfilled people are not the loudest or the richest. They are the most disciplined. Because when you can lead yourself, nothing outside of you can break you. The life you dream of isn't found in more things, louder voices, or faster shortcuts. It's found in quiet control over your words, your emotions, your finances, and your thoughts. That control isn't built overnight, but it's built every day, brick by brick, choice by choice. So, start today. Take control, not to impress the world, but to become unstoppable in it.